Welcome to the BBC News at 6. Our top headlines tonight. Andy Burnham says he will review the government's prison early release policy. Earlier, the government announced it will bring back a 2 bus fare cap, voting to leave the cost of living. So Andy Burnham is going to review which 2 out of the 3 cars could be released after being jogged around by a car back in 2019. Also in the programme, Andy Burnham has announced a £2 increase on bus fare caps to help with the cost of living crisis. Also tonight. Also tonight, the president of Southern Waters is facing charges after he planned the scheme of the company. Also tonight, US Shroud Russian rules out key conduct conditions for any Ukraine peace deal. So the South manager has been charged with Spygate. We'll see what that means for both association. And also, it's happy birthday to George, who celebrates his 30th birthday. We'll have video footage, and we'll have pictures of his day.
Right, going to be manager.
Can you remember me now? We're going to discuss it. Can you remember me now, please?
Yeah.
Welcome to the BBC News at 6. Tonight, Sandy Burnham is reviewing into a prison review because of the 2 out of the 3 killers could be released from prison. It comes after all 3 killers were involved in a massive incident back in 2019 when one of them was shot down by a vehicle and almost killed. Sandy Burnham is set to review the issues that have been faced tonight. Sandy Burnham has said he will review the government's prison early release policy after that incident back in 2019. This 4.5-minute report from Laura Matthews. Laura has this story for us. Stripes if you got a tiger. No, because you've already got stripes. Oh yeah. Oh no. That's what I saw for Kaboo. It's a tiger. I'm so sorry. You were my past lifetime sale. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Thank the Lord. Yeah, I know. Oh yeah, we're quite some far. I'm off.
You haven't even gone yet.
I'm going.
Have you gone?
I'm going, hold on.
Keep going, you said.
Tonight, £2 a ticket. Will it get more people off board buses here? And the estate where parents have had noise complaints for shouting children in fatigue. Join us in half an hour.
Hello, good evening. The widow of PC Andrew Harper has described the possible early release of prisoners as deplorable, following reports that two of her husband's killers could be freed halfway through their sentence. The Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, has said he will review the government's early release scheme. PC Harper died after being dragged behind a car in Berkshire in 2019. The vehicle's driver was jailed for 16 years for manslaughter. He is not one of those who would be eligible for early release. Here's Ellie Price.
Police Constable Andrew Harper was 28 when he was killed in the line of duty in 2019. He was dragged for more than a mile along a country lane after being caught in a strap being used by three teenagers trying to steal a quad bike. All three were found guilty of manslaughter. Henry Long, the driver of the car, seen here on the left, received a 16-year sentence. Passengers in the car, Albert Bowers and Jessie Cole, were both jailed for 13 years. After the trial, PC Harper's widow says she was disappointed at the sentences.
The results from this trial I had hoped would bring justice, but in reality make no difference to the heart-wrenching pain I will continue to feel for the rest of my life.
Now Bowers and Cole could be among 6,000 criminals who might be freed from prison early under the new Sentencing Act set to come into force in September. Previously, they would have only been eligible having served 2/3 of their jail term. Now it's half. Today, PC Harper's widow Lissy described it as deplorable that releasing prisoners early is even considered acceptable. She said, "We speak of justice, accountability and standing with victims, yet decisions like this do the opposite." She went on, "Andrew deserves better, every victim deserves better, and the British public deserves a justice system they can have faith in." The government has previously said it had to introduce the early release scheme because there weren't enough prison spaces and the justice system was on the brink. But now the new Prime Minister has hinted at a shift in the government's policy.
The main perpetrator will not be subject to any early release. Of course, others involved have potentially been identified, but I've spoken to the new Justice Secretary. We will review the policy together and make further statements in due course.
After her husband's death, Lissy Harper successfully campaigned for legal changes to see harsher sentences for the manslaughter of emergency workers on duty. But Harper's law, as it's known, isn't retrospective, so PC Harper's killers could not have had their sentences extended. And instead, 2 of them could be released early. Ellie Price, BBC News.
The former chief executive of Southern Water is facing criminal charges in connection with allegations that he was involved in a plan to manipulate water quality tests in order to avoid millions of pounds in penalties. Matthew Wright and 3 other former employees of the company, which provides water to more than 4 million customers, have been charged with conspiring to defraud the Environment Agency and the regulator Ofwat. Here's our environment correspondent, Jonah Fisher.
England's privately owned water companies have for years been allowed to effectively mark their own homework. It's called operator self-monitoring and means the companies can take and test their own samples before reporting the results to the regulator, the Environment Agency. It's this system that Matthew Wright, the former chief executive of Southern Water, and 3 other former employees have been accused of trying to manipulate. The Environment Agency alleges that its investigators uncovered extensive fraud and dishonesty at a high level at Southern Water between 2012 and 2017. Among the claims is the allegation that Southern Water employees artificially created what are known as no-flow events by trucking wastewater away from treatment facilities so that water quality tests couldn't take place. The Environment Agency say by doing this, Southern Water covered up pollution and avoided more than £45 million in fines. Lawyers for Mr. Wright say he denies all wrongdoing and is cooperating fully with the Environment Agency's investigation. But it's not the first time during Mr. Wright's time as chief executive that the company has come under scrutiny. 5 years ago, Southern Water was fined a then record £90 million for nearly 7,000 illegal sewage spills between 2010 and 2015. Professor Alex Ford from Portsmouth University has been documenting the impact of the spills.
There's been extensive sewage spills going into our rivers and our coasts around the south coast of England here. That contains a large number of pollutants, which we're now unfortunately finding in our wildlife. People are very disillusioned with the company for the spills, for the impact it has on their human health and the effects on their wildlife. And these charges today are going to do their reputation no good whatsoever.
In a statement, Southern Water said the failures were uncovered through an internal company investigation in 2017. As soon as they were identified, Southern Water reported them to regulators, including the Environment Agency. The case against the former Southern Water employees will now proceed at Medway Magistrates Court. They could face up to 10 years in jail. Jonah Fisher, BBC News.
Well, let's talk to BBC South's environment correspondent John Cuthill. He's in Romsey in Hampshire tonight. What reaction have you been hearing, John?
Well, there's a growing sense of anger from the communities and the campaigners who work so hard to protect rivers like this. The River Test, one of our precious chalk streams, of which there are only 200 or so anywhere in the world. Anger at the seriousness of these allegations which have emerged today, allegations against individuals at the very highest level at Southern Water, who are accused of deliberately misleading the EA and Ofwat with regard to what exactly is going into our rivers and seas. And as Jonah said, this centres around OSM, Operator Self-Monitoring Scheme. Up until 2009, it was the EA who would do the testing. They handed that over to the water companies to trust them to mark their own homework. And it transpires, at least through these allegations, that individuals may have conspired to mislead both the Environment Agency and Ofwat. Southern Water says that individuals named no longer work for the company, and they're not the same company.
This is the On TV Evening News with Mary Nightingale. Good evening. The widow of a police officer called the early release of prisoners deplorable after it emerged that her late husband's killers could be freed within months. PC Andrew Harper was killed in 2019 after he was dragged behind a thief's getaway car for more than a mile down a country lane. Now, the driver responsible will remain behind bars, but his two passengers, both of them convicted of manslaughter, may be allowed out halfway through their 13-year jail sentences. That is under a scheme intended to ease prison overcrowding, something the Prime Minister said today that he will review. Meanwhile, two of his top ministers have apologised after they were overheard joking about the policy. Our correspondent John Ray reports.
They were newlyweds, soon to set off on their honeymoon, when Andrew Harper's life was lost in the line of duty. He was responding to a 999 call when he was caught in the tow rope of a getaway car and then dragged to his death. Soon, Jesse Cole and Albert Bowers, passengers in that speeding car, will be eligible for early release, halfway through the 13-year sentences they were handed for the manslaughter of the police officer. Andrew Harper's widow, Lizzie, said, "It's deplorable to me that we have reached a point where releasing prisoners early is even considered acceptable."
I've been contacted by many of my members, members of the public as well, and they are equally as angry, frustrated and affected by the potential of these individuals being released early from their sentencing.
In Labour's first year in office, some 40,000 convicts were released early, an emergency response to a prison crisis inherited. Too many inmates, too few cells. From September, the new Sentencing Act will see most adult prisoners released after serving 1/3 of their sentence. More serious offenders could be released after serving half their sentence. Some 5,000 prisoners are expected to be freed. Serious stuff, unless you were at yesterday's cabinet meeting with the new Justice Secretary, Alex Norris. They've apologised, but the case cannot be laughed off.
I feel for the family it's an appalling crime that was committed. I've spoken to the new Justice Secretary. We will review the policy together and make further statements in due course.
When PC Harper answered that fateful emergency call, his shift was about to end and a new family life was just beginning. But his killers won't be the only convicts offered freedom early. Old cases and fresh headaches for the new Prime Minister.
Well, John Ray is here. So, John, the Prime Minister says he's going to investigate this, he's going to review it. Do you think that's going to satisfy the victims of crime, their families, and indeed critics of this policy?
Well, look, people will remember that after PC Harper's death, his widow Lizzie became a strong and successful campaigner for tougher sentences. In particular, she fought and won mandatory life sentences for those convicted of the manslaughter of emergency workers who were on duty. So, no, I don't think they will be satisfied by a review. And remember, there are literally a handful of weeks before this new law is supposed to come into place. Look, releasing prisoners early is never a good look for any government. Labour's problem is this, that the prisons are full to overflowing. Building new ones will take time and it's expensive. So a really, really tough test for Andy Burnham, who wants to be popular and has to make, though, some really tough decisions.
OK, John, thank you. Now, the former boss of Southern Water has been charged with plotting to defraud the regulators. Water firms are required to test wastewater when it leaves treatment works and let...
You know, for lots of people, them thinking, well, if he did raise the personal allowance, that would make quite a big difference.
Next tonight, Andy Burnham begins more unrevealing his plan for cost of living as he announces a £2 cap on bus fares in England across the whole nation. Because as he continues his plan for the cost of living crisis that he announced to his cabinet yesterday. Two ministers have apologised after laughing and giggling about the announcement of the bus fares.
Prime Minister, you are bringing back Boris Johnson's policy of the £2 cap on bus fares. Is that really going to make a difference to people struggling with their finances?
It was actually my policy originally as Mayor of Greater Manchester, but I worked with Boris to take it national, and it was hugely popular because it's simple, but it saves people money every day. So I think it will really help people with the cost of living pressures they're facing. It's there for the whole of 2027, and I think it will put money in people's pockets.
On the wider spending priorities of your government, you said you're committed to the fiscal rules, yet you've already said you want to reform social care, you want to build more council houses, you've committed to spending more money on defence. Are you going to be honest with the public that you can't do those things you're promising without either more borrowing or raising taxes?
I will always be honest with the public. It's my style. This week, the three policies I've announced, ending rough sleeping, the bus cap we're announcing today, and the removal of VAT off electricity bills are all fully funded. And that's the way I will go. And people will say, well, how? I've reprioritised. The public's priority is reducing cost of living pressures, and that's what I'm doing. I'm taking a difficult look at some of the things that the government was committed to, digital ID being one example, and reprioritising. And I think that's what people would expect me to do coming into this job. When you talk about council housing, it's about putting greater priority on council housing. The government had already allocated 39 billion to housing over 10 years. My instruction on coming into this job is to spend a greater proportion of that funding on new council housing, because that gives the biggest return on investment than anything else.
But it is going to mean tax rises come the budget, isn't it?
No, we'll take decisions on tax at the budget. This is about reprioritising in this phase. As I say, going to the public's priorities, the cost of living crisis, the housing crisis. How much longer are we going to talk about these things without actually doing something to help people? And already in the space of a few days, I've made a number of moves that will deal with some of these challenges, although I appreciate there's a lot more to do.
You also said on Monday that the complaint you heard most often on the doorstep was about the freezing of the personal tax allowance. So are you going to do something about that or not?
Well, it's funny these days. You can't answer a question honestly without then people reading everything else into it. It was.
You are Prime Minister.
It was, yes, but I want to answer questions honestly in this job, as I said before. I think that's all about trust in politics and doing politics differently, and I'm determined to keep working in that way. It was raised a lot. But I then went on to say, but we'll have to look at it at the budget alongside everything else. So no commitment, no unfunded promise. You know, it's just perhaps the way politics is these days and the way people report things. But that was an honest answer. There is no commitment at this point to change, but we will look at that at the budget.
Another thing you promised was an end to factionalism. You said that on the steps of Number 10. You then went in to Downing Street and you sacked 11 members of Keir Starmer's cabinet, those who had been most loyal to him. You also promoted those who hastened his end. Do you acknowledge that's created a lot of...
If you're still paying £15 a month for breakdown cover just for a fancy brand name, then stop. You're literally throwing your money away.
We know he likes buses. He's often talked about what he did. We know he likes buses. He's often talked about... We know he likes buses. He's often talked about what he did with them in Manchester. Well, this is Bath in the West Country, and he's here to announce freezing most single bus fares at £2.
This is about reprioritising in this phase. As I say, going to the public's priorities, the cost of living crisis, the housing crisis. How much longer are we going to talk about these things without actually doing something to help people? And already in the space of a few days, I've made a number of moves that will deal with some of these challenges, although I appreciate there's a lot more to do.
The £2 bus fare cap will be reinstated from January and will run through all of 2027. It will apply to single bus journeys across England, except London, where fares are already below that. The £2 cap was first introduced in 2023, before going up to £3 in 2025 under Keir Starmer. The government says it can find the £500 million to fund it by switching money from projects at the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero. There wasn't a cap at any level for these passengers.
Please tell me what you think of the bus fares going up again.
Well, I'd say it's shocking to a certain extent. I mean, you have to pay threepence now to get from here up there.
So what do today's passengers on a bus in Reading think?
It's
it's quite expensive nowadays. 2 buses to go, 2 buses to come back for a child, and I have another child that will go to, primary school.
I think he's going to be great for this country. I'm sure it will help a lot of people.
He sounds good on paper. Yeah, he's been in two days. What he's got to do is make himself popular to the people.
The company running these buses and others around England welcomes the subsidy that will go to keeping fares down.
We've got some great places that we serve, so you could go from Brighton to Eastbourne for £2, or Bournemouth to Salisbury. You could go from Hull to York. There's a great range of places that Go Ahead serve, and it'll be good so that it can encourage leisure journeys, families going out, as well as I said earlier, the commuters being able to save a bit off their weekly commute.
He says it's about reprioritising where any money is spent, and he's hoping everyone can get on board with that.
Well, let's bring in Andy Live. Andy, evening to you. I suppose it's another day, but the same question. How do you pay for these policies?
Yeah, Andy Burnham very keen to say that the policies are already introduced, and maybe we'll get some more as soon as tomorrow, that they all pay for themselves, that you're not going to have to raise taxes, for instance, to pay for that, because they know that they're under a lot of scrutiny to make sure that the finances are sound. And that's one reason why I think we've officially had the squashing today of an idea that's been running for a couple of days, which is the possibility of raising the threshold at which people start to pay income tax above the level where it's been frozen for 5 years. Andy Burnham talked about that initially, but now it's not going to happen, precisely because they know it would cost about £3, maybe £4 billion to do it for a year. Now, Andy Burnham has come across as being slightly surprised that it was being talked of in this way, basically saying, look, this was never policy. But I think he's learning the hard way that once you're Prime Minister and you start speculating out loud about policies, well, people are going to examine them pretty closely and ask you about them. So he may approach this sort of issue, this sort of reflection, rather differently from now on.
Yes, thanks for that, Andy. That's the scrutiny that comes with the top job, isn't it?
Next, a person from Southern Waters is going to be facing charges of allegations of a scheme that he was trying to do at the company. Comes after loads of water businesses have been announcing hose ban pipes for the last couple of weeks. The person that a worker that works there is facing fresh allegations against a scheme that he tried to pull at the water business.
Sentences for those convicted of the manslaughter of emergency workers who were on duty. So no, I don't think they'll be satisfied by everything. Remember, there are literally a handful of weeks before this new law is supposed to come into place. Releasing prisoners early is never good for any government. Maybe volunteers is this, that prisons are full to overflowing. But the new laws will take time and it's expensive. So a really, really tough test. But Andy Burnham, who wants to be popular, has to make those really tough decisions.
Okay, John, thank you. Now, the former boss of Southern Water has been charged with plotting to defraud the regulators. Water firms are required to test wastewater when it leaves treatment works, unless there's not enough of it to sample. Well, now 4 ex-Southern employees, including the chief executive, Matthew Wright, are accused of planning artificial no-flow events to manipulate compliance checks. And if convicted, they could face up to 10 years in prison. Our science correspondent Martin Stew explains.
Southern Water has already been fined tens of millions of pounds for polluting the sea with sewage.
Today, their former boss and 3 of his colleagues have been personally charged too. The first time a water company CEO has faced criminal charges.
I mean, it's outrageous, isn't it? Because water should be safe for everyone.
Well, it's absolutely disgraceful that the amount of sewage that goes into rivers and the sea.
It's about time someone was held to account. Yeah, definitely. I think it would be better if maybe it was put into the hands of the people again.
I recognise that we don't always get it right.
This is former CEO Matthew Wright in 2014.
The level of service we give to our customers.
Before most of the public knew about sewage discharges, but whilst he is accused of conspiring to defraud by covering up the scale of the problem.
You're welcome.
Water companies monitor their own sewage discharges and publish the findings. Mr. Wright and his colleagues are accused of removing wastewater from polluting sites so readings couldn't be taken, hiding the extent of sewage spills. Between 2012 and 2017, it's alleged that enabled them to dodge fines of at least £45 million.
This is absolutely outrageous, and you shouldn't underestimate just how angry people already are with Southern Water and water companies in general.
The case has the potential to set a precedent to prosecute other polluting bosses. The judge described the charges as very serious allegations of criminal misconduct involving carefully planned, extensive fraud on a large scale. Southern Water says it uncovered the alleged failures itself and is a completely different company under different management now. Mr. Wright's solicitor says his client denies all charges and has cooperated fully with the investigation. But if he's found guilty, he could face up to 10 years in prison. Martin Stew, ITV News.
Now, the Prime Minister has confirmed he will not be making any immediate tweaks to the personal tax allowance, but he indicates
and I will says that individuals named no longer.
5 years ago, Southern Water was fined a then record £90 million.
Matthew.
This accountability and standing with victims, yet decisions like this do the opposite. She went on, Andrew.
try and use a quiet working voice, but if I raise my voice to them, they know. Ended, and instead, 2 of them could be released early. Ellie Price, BBC News.
The former chief executive of Southern Water is facing criminal charges in connection with allegations that he was involved in a plan to manipulate water quality tests in order to avoid millions of pounds in penalties. Matthew Wright and 3 other former employees of the company, which provides water to more than 4 million customers, have been charged with conspiring to defraud the Environment Agency and the regulator Ofwat. Here's our environment correspondent, Jonah Fisher.
England's privately owned water companies have for years been allowed to effectively mark their own homework. It's called operator self-monitoring and means the companies can take and test their own samples before reporting the results to the regulator, the Environment Agency. It's this system that Matthew Wright, the former chief executive of Southern Water, and 3 other former employees have been accused of trying to manipulate. The Environment Agency alleges that its investigators uncovered extensive fraud and dishonesty at a high level at Southern Water between 2012 and 2017. Among the claims is the allegation that Southern Water employees artificially created what are known as no-flow events by trucking wastewater away from treatment facilities so that water quality tests couldn't take place. The Environment Agency say by doing this, Southern Water covered up pollution and avoided more than £45 million in fines. Lawyers for Mr. Wright say he denies all wrongdoing and is cooperating fully with the Environment Agency's investigation. But it's not the first time during Mr. Wright's time as chief executive that the company has come under scrutiny. 5 years ago, Southern Water was fined a then record £90 million for nearly 7,000 illegal sewage spills between 2010 and 2015. Professor Alex Ford from Portsmouth University has been documenting the impact of the spills.
There's been extensive sewage spills going into our rivers and our coasts around the south coast of England here. That contains a large number of pollutants, which we're now unfortunately finding in our wildlife. People are very disillusioned with the company for the spills, for the impact it has on their human health and the effects on their wildlife. And these charges today are going to do their reputation no good whatsoever.
In a statement, Southern Water said the failures were uncovered through an internal company investigation in 2017. As soon as they were identified, Southern Water reported them to regulators, including the Environment Agency. The case against the former Southern Water employees will now proceed at Medway Magistrates Court. They could face up to 10 years in jail. Jonah Fisher, BBC News.
Well, let's talk to BBC South environment correspondent John Cuttill. He's in Romsey in Hampshire tonight. What reaction have you been hearing, John?
Well, there's a growing sense of anger from the communities and the campaigners who work so hard to protect rivers like this. The River Test, one of our precious chalk streams, of which there are only 200 or so anywhere in the world. Anger at the seriousness of these allegations which have emerged today, allegations against individuals at the very highest level at Southern Water, who are accused of deliberately misleading the EA and Ofwat with regard to what exactly is going into our rivers and seas. And as Jonah said, this centres around OSM, Operator Self-Monitoring Scheme. Up until 2009, it was the EA who would do the testing. They handed that over to the water companies to trust them to mark their own homework. And it transpires, at least through these allegations, that individuals may have conspired to mislead both the Environment Agency and Ofwat. Southern Water says that individuals named no longer work for the company, and they're not the same company as they were 10 years ago.
John Cottill, thanks very much there in Romsey. Bus fares across most parts of England are to be capped at £2 for a single journey. It won't apply in London.
next tonight. Next, Zelensky. The Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky has come on away as he defends his decision to sack the head of army Russian forces. Meanwhile, a new report claims any potential peace deal has been surveillance. Zelensky is not planning to meet for any peace deals in the war in Ukraine. Our political report from Rachel Bianca. That's a 3-minute report. Zelensky posted on his X account, greet to welcome people to the US ambassador to NATO back in Kyiv. This time together we will be our meeting about NATO. Show you a couple of pictures in the capital right now. Some pictures. Okay. Next, Southampton's manager. Next, the Southampton manager been charged by the FA over Spygate scandal. It comes after Southampton were not allowed to play in the final in May after people who were alleged to have Spygate on Middlesbrough's football training ground and training session that Middlesbrough were holding. But that's something new quick that has happened. They did it 3 times during the actual championship season last season.
Now for some big breaking news regarding Southampton. Spygate scandal. The club have confirmed that head coach Tonda Ecker has been charged by the FA. He is charged with 3 breaches of FA Rule E3.1 in relation to misconduct between December 2025 and May 2026. The FA say it's alleged that the head coach acted in an improper manner and or brought the game into disrepute by directing and or authorising the observation of training sessions of Oxford United FC, Ipswich Town FC and Middlesbrough FC ahead of fixtures between these clubs and Southampton FC in December 2025, April 2026 and May 2026 respectively. Eckhart has until Tuesday to provide his responses. Now, some context here. Southampton were expelled from the Championship playoff final in May by the EFL after they admitted to spying on 3 clubs during the season after they were caught observing a Middlesbrough training session at the first leg of their playoff semi-final. The EFL charged Saints after it was later found they'd also observed sessions involving Oxford, Ipswich. Southampton will also start the upcoming season on -4 points as part of the EFL's punishment. And Southampton have released this statement. Southampton Football Club and the first team head coach Tonda Ecker acknowledged today's charge from the FA relating to the breach of Rule E3.1. Tonda and the club will continue to cooperate fully and openly with the FA. Our focus remains on preparations for the 2026-27 Championship season. The club remains fully supportive of Tonda and his staff as we work towards our ambition of returning to the Premier League. We are unable to comment further while the process remains ongoing, but we will provide an update to supporters as soon as we are in a position to do so. Now, our reporter Keith Downey was at the heart of the story when it broke back in May.
So this is the Middlesbrough training ground. You can see over my shoulder there, the main building, a few hundred yards up there, and this is where the alleged incident happened.
Watches of Switzerland presents an enduring collection of the world's finest timepieces.
It's silly, but
where the eventual...
We'll start edging up to.
okay, Joel Hills. Thank you. And for more about what we can expect from Andy Burnham's government, from the cost of living to AI and defence spending, watch the latest Talking Politics with Tom Bradby and Robert Peston. You can find it on YouTube, ITVX and any podcast platform. A couple of other stories for you. Donald Trump and the US government will not be getting involved in the extradition hearing for Andrew Tate and his brother, according to the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. The controversial influencers face charges including rape and trafficking, and a judge will decide whether they can be extradited to the UK. Rubio has to sign off any extradition. He says there's no role for the White House now or maybe ever, that's his words, in the actual decision. And in a new first for artificial intelligence, one of its leading systems has hacked into another company of its own accord in an attempt to cheat a cybersecurity test. ChatGPT's maker, OpenAI, says its latest experimental model made the independent decision to steal access credentials for rivals Hugging Face after working out it had the answers to the test questions. Now, Southampton's head coach has been charged over the Spygate scandal, which led, I'm sure you remember, to his side being thrown out of the Championship playoffs. Tonda Eckert is accused by the FA of 3 counts of misconduct. Now, it follows the club's admission that it ran Covert missions to spy on its opponents, Middlesbrough, Ipswich and Oxford. Well, our correspondent Geraint Vincent is here. What's been the reaction to this, then, Geraint?
Well, among Southampton fans, there's a great deal of concern, as you might expect, that the club is about to be punished again. If Tonder Eckert is found to have brought the game into disrepute, which is what he's charged with, and he could be banned, stopped from working with the team, and the new season's, what, little over 3 weeks away. Let's remind people of what will surely be one of the most infamous images of the sporting year. Although that isn't, in fact, the image I was thinking of, Mary. I shall describe it instead. It was a junior member of staff at Southampton who was pictured filming a training session at Middlesbrough. The two clubs were about to compete in the Championship playoffs, where the eventual winner... there it is the picture we were after, Mary, where the eventual winner gets promoted to the Premier League after Middlesbrough complained. There was a hearing, and the English Football League ruled that this was, in their words, a determined plan from the top down at Southampton to gain a competitive advantage, and that analysts felt pressure to carry out the filming because it was what Tonder Eckert and senior coaches wanted. Southampton were thrown out of the playoffs, as you mentioned. They start next season with a 4 points deduction, and Mr. Eckert has since taken full responsibility. But there's another authority in English football, of course, the FA, the game's governing body. Eckert has until next Tuesday to respond to its charges, and, well, next season could turn out to have an even more difficult start for Southampton Football Club than they were expecting.
He's not looking happy, is it? Geraint, thank you. Well, there's more ahead on the ITV Evening News, including this summer's hottest...
Oh, flipping heck!
Essentially hacked its way. These sheep are getting a spree.
And the Claude chatbot is paying out. All right, Chris, thank you for now. And just a pointer, you can hear more in Ukraine because Ukrainian drones have hit warehouses of... A reminder of our top story. The widow... Southampton's head coach...
The investigation into the trust is being carried out by Northumbria Police on behalf of Nottinghamshire Police. The force has been criticised over its history of interactions with Callaghan and its handling of the response and investigation into the attacks. It failed to carry out an arrest warrant issued 9 months before the killings. A spokesperson for Nottinghamshire Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust said, "We know how important the independent inquiry and police investigation are for the affected families, the survivors and our local communities. We will, of course, be cooperating fully with Northumbria Police." The trust has not been charged, and Northumbria Police says it is in contact with the victims' families and survivors. Meanwhile, the inquiry into the Nottingham attacks will deliver its final report by May next year. Navtesh Johal, BBC News, Nottingham.
Southampton's head coach, Tonder Eckert, has been charged with misconduct by the Football Association for his alleged role in the spying scandal. Southampton were kicked out of the Championship playoff final after it admitted spying on 3 clubs during the season. The charges, which follow an FA investigation, relate to acting improperly and bringing the game into disrepute. Mr. Eckert has until next Tuesday to respond. Let's talk to our sports correspondent, Nesta McGregor. Tell us more, Nesta.
Well, Jane, Spygate, as it became known, is arguably one of the biggest footballing stories of the year. And this all centres around a Southampton intern, a Middlesbrough training session, and what became known as a very famous tree. Back in May of this year, just days before a playoff semi-final match, which they went on to win, Southampton sent a member of staff to spy on their opponents. It was Middlesbrough who spotted the spy hiding behind that tree and reported this to the English Football League. The EFL concluded rules had been unbroken. Southampton, one game away from the Premier League, were not only kicked out of the competition, but also deducted 4 points for the upcoming season. The Football Association also launched their own investigation, which does bring us to today, because the FA have now charged head coach Tonda Eckert, who instigated the espionage with misconduct. The timing is key. The new season is just weeks away, and although the German does have the backing of the club, the punishment he receives could test that relationship.
Nesta, thank you. Nesta McGregor. Prince George is 13 today, and this photograph has been released to mark the occasion. Here's our senior royal correspondent, Daniela Ralph. From Kensington Palace, a family video of Prince George on holiday in Cornwall, released to mark his birthday and him becoming a teenager. The official birthday photo, more formal, more grown up than we've seen before. Previous birthday images have tended to be a little more relaxed, but Prince George is
And finally tonight, Prince George has officially become a teenager. It's Prince George's birthday. He's turned 13 today. Well, we've got a report. Nina Smith has this 2.5-minute report. Nina Smith has this report on Prince George's 13th birthday.
A new birthday portrait has been released to celebrate Prince George turning 13, offering a fresh glimpse of the young royal as he enters his teenage years. The portrait shows Prince George dressed in a classic navy suit jacket paired with a crisp white shirt, presenting a smart and understated appearance. Standing with his hands in his pockets and smiling warmly at the camera, the future king appears relaxed and confident. His neatly styled light brown hair and natural expression reflect a growing maturity while maintaining the approachable charm seen in previous official photographs of the young prince. The image is set against a bright interior featuring large windows and exposed brickwork, creating a timeless yet contemporary backdrop. The portrait was reportedly taken at Kensington Palace. The post's caption also says Happy 13th Birthday George. As the eldest child of the Prince and Princess of Wales, Prince George is second in line to the British throne. Over the past year, he has increasingly appeared alongside his parents at significant national events, including ceremonial occasions and sporting fixtures, gradually preparing for a future role within the monarchy while continuing his education. Royal birthday portraits have become an anticipated annual tradition, allowing the public to witness the milestones of the Wales children as they grow up. This latest photograph captures a notable moment in Prince George's life as he reaches his teenage years, a period expected to bring new experiences and, over time, greater public responsibilities. The young prince is also set to take his first steps into full-time boarding school in September. He will enroll at Eton College, the same school his father used to go to, in September. The portrait has been warmly received by royal watchers, with many commenting on Prince George's poised appearance and the striking resemblance to members of his family. While the royal household has continued to emphasise the importance of providing Prince George with as normal a childhood as possible, milestone birthdays such as this offer a rare opportunity for the public to celebrate the next generation of the British royal family and also see small glimpses of the young royal children as they grow. The photo was also reportedly taken by Matt Porteous, who is one of the family's trusted photographers. Anyway, let's all hope that Prince George has a wonderful birthday today. Happy birthday.
This summer, your Dubai investment can begin in London. Discover Mercedes.
Again, welcome back. Thought police have warned of a new space. Are watching the ITV Evening News. It's nearly 7 o'clock, and here's what's still ahead. The pop singer Talisa calls for a clampdown, what she calls press invasion.
I just find it unethical that such a huge level of power is currently regulating itself.
Spanish firefighters are battling a huge blaze north of Madrid. 50% tariff on roads further. I've endured a lot, and
Very sick.
the fate I house if it suffered any. Welcome back. It's confirmed he's some way off.
44 degrees Celsius.
With a little bit of rain west of the late
In 2030.
More to come. Ridiculous. Super. Musgrave comes at police. Madrid. AB's has told people to leave the host by Tears Tree of parts of the country look likely to reach 42. More to come.
Believed sent 350
Operated.
And there, more than 100 residents took the advantage.
Worse, but tackles serious and
isn't about
vision
has told I it's fully already nearly. Its temperatures here are because of the constant wind and the crew on board has enjoying him north with some rain pushing into north and having been hit by
but it's
listeners.
The number stood behind us. Isn't about injuries.
It's silly, but the competition serves an important purpose, raising awareness of old, rare and at-risk species. details. Fine evening for many of them. Con Andrew's fan. War zones have been brought in to help, or DNA stab. Ready to move on size? Investor Experience Law to help you get better rates on loans, credit cards, and mortgages.
EFL concluded, rules had been broken. Southampton, one game away from the Premier League, were not only kicked out of the competition, but also deducted 4 points for the upcoming season. The Football Association also launched their own investigation, which does bring us to today, because the FA have now charged head coach Tonda Eka, who instigated the espionage with misconduct. The timing is key. The new season is just weeks away, and although the instigated the espionage with misconduct. The timing is key. The new season is just weeks away, and although the German does have the backing of the club, the punishment he receives could test that relationship.
Nesta, thank you, Nesta McGregor. Prince George is 13 today, and this photograph has been released to mark the occasion. Here's our senior royal correspondent, Daniela Ralph. From Kensington Palace, a family video of Prince George on holiday in Cornwall, released to mark his birthday and him becoming a teenager. The official birthday photo, more formal, more grown up than we've seen before. Previous birthday images have tended to be a little more relaxed, but Prince George is about to enter a more serious phase of school and life.
Hi Leo, this is George.
But what won't change is his parents' desire to protect him and manage how often he's seen in public. When he starts at Eton in September, the focus will be on his education and his security. As second in line to the throne as a future king, any royal engagements will be carefully controlled and happen alongside his parents, here with his mother last month, visiting RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire. So much of Prince George's future will be public-facing. As he begins the often bumpy journey through teenage years, we'll see him at big family events. The aim, though, will be to keep George's life as private as possible. Daniela Ralph, BBC News. Now, this is a puffling, a fledgling puffin, and conservationists monitoring a colony of the seabirds on the Dorset coast have spotted one for the first time in 30 years, as Dr. Richard Caldo now explains.
Well, it's pretty exciting, really, because I think after 4 hours of bobbing around in a stationary boat, people were beginning to lose a bit of willpower. So there was a sudden sort of rejoicing when this thing appeared. We thought, goodness me, that is it. That's what we've been waiting for. I'm a retired ornithologist. We finally managed to get to see a puffin chick, which nobody has seen in Dorset, I don't think, for about 30 years. We put trail cameras down on the cliff face to get a closer look to what's happening. We used to have 34...
More to come tonight. Really terrible. Lots of Bolton Abbey. Very warm.
Right, it's time for a look at the weather.
Overnight, so clear skies out to the southwest. The high pressure drifts away. Temperatures are wall to wall sunshine. Courtesy of a northerly wind across the southwest, the high pressure drifts away. Temperatures will hold up perhaps into wall to wall sunshine. Courtesy of a northern
Chick, once it fledges, fly out to sea and then swim off, and it will be on its own now somewhere out in the Atlantic, probably for the next 2 years at least. There's a tendency in most birds to go back to where they've been born. It's not 100%, but it's a fairly There's hope, I think.
Dr. Richard Caldo with some good news.
It's time for a look at the weather right now with Louise.
We hope. That takes us to the weather. Here's Louise Lear. Hello.
Hi there, Jane. A lot of happy holiday makers at the moment for the 18th consecutive day now. South East Wales and South West England have seen temperatures which have reached the heat wave threshold. But we did have quite a bit of cloud around today. It wasn't wall-to-wall sunshine. Courtesy of a northerly wind across parts of Scotland and coming in off the North Sea. It did break up, admittedly, across southeast England during the afternoon. And pretty much what you've kept during the day, you'll keep overnight. So clear skies out to the southwest. The high pressure drifts away. Temperatures will hold up perhaps into mid-teens for many, perhaps at around 17 degrees in London first thing tomorrow morning. Into tomorrow, once again, blue sky, clear sky, sunshine across Wales and southwest England. That northerly wind still feeding in some cloud and maybe a few scattered showers to the east of the Pennines and down through East Anglia and southeast. Eventually, the wind direction will switch to a westerly, which means more sunshine into eastern Scotland, and as a result, perhaps a little warmer here as well. Top temperatures tomorrow around 26, 27, probably reaching heat wave threshold once again down to the southwest. Into Friday, that westerly wind will continue, which means more sunshine for eastern areas, and generally on Friday it means more sunshine. Cloud and rain will gather to the far northwest, but not arriving until the end of the day. We could see temperatures a degree or so higher, 28 or 29 degrees. But drum roll, take a look at this. Don't get too excited. But there is a potential as we head into the weekend, a little bit of a rain, and as a result, a little bit fresher. Now, the heaviest of the rain is always going to be to the north and west, but there is a chance for gardeners and growers that we'll get some light rain down to the southeast overnight Saturday into Sunday. And so that means, as a result, temperatures a little fresher as we head into the weekend. Jane.
Louise, thanks so much. And
That's it from the team for now.
So Louise, yes, good evening, Keegan. Let me just walk you through the forecast. So, the outlook for the rest of today, going through tonight, we are going to see clouds, so a lot of clouds is going to start building up in far much of the north and east, but a few high spots of rain is forecast for parts of the UK, and drizzle in places for the southwest. Dry with clear spells and the odd patch of cloud and fog. So as we go into Thursday, the outlook tomorrow will be very dry for lots of parts of awesome the UK, with variable clouds, so a lot of clouds still building up in the southwest, I think, and sunny spells for most of us. Just the odd light cloud and some patchy rain lingering in for the northwest. And the outlook for the weekend for the few Sunday, so Friday will look to be dry with sunny spells for most. For the northern Scotland, we will see spells of rain developing, so high rain is forecast for Scotland. They will spread across the north and for the west on Saturday, but staying dry in the southeast. For Sunday outlook, should fancy a mainly cloud starting with rain clearing from southeast. So the sun spells and showers should then develop for most. That's the forecast.
Hello there. Very little change to the weather for the rest of this working week. High pressure in charge. It's been dry for most areas with variable clouds and sunshine. But some changes expected at the weekend with some rain in the forecast. Most of it, though, will be in the north and west of the UK. Now, overnight, we'll see the cloud melt away across England and Wales. A few mist and fog patches developing, but thicker cloud for Northern Ireland and Northern Scotland, where we could see a little bit of drizzle. Temperatures overnight falling to the low to mid-teens. So there we are, little change. High pressure out towards the west, light northerly winds across the UK. Start off with any early mist fog clearing away from England and Wales. Plenty of sunshine here. Cloud will tend to build up though into the afternoon. That could produce the odd light shower. Scotland, Northern Ireland is a mixture of sunshine and cloud, but we could see more sunshine, I think, across central and eastern Scotland Thursday afternoon. So it could be a little bit warmer here, low to mid-20s. Warmest spots though England and Wales were up to the high 20s towards the south and southwest. Friday, subtle changes with wind direction coming in from the west, so that'll pile the cloud into western Scotland, Northern Ireland. Elsewhere, I think we'll see more sunshine around, so it could be warmer, I think, for many, up to 28, 29, maybe 30 degrees, just spots in the southeast. And then we have that change, some rain this weekend, certainly northern and western areas, which will last into next week. Very little rain, though, getting into the south.
Right, that is it for me and for the whole team. That's it for me and for the evening team. I'll be back with you for the BBC News at 10 at 9:45. But until then, from myself and the whole team, take care. Have a good evening. Bye bye. Take care.